Hello, everyone. This is Nathan Larson, Vice President of Field Development here at For Life Research. And welcome to For Life Live. Well, we have another great episode this week. I hope you've caught our ones we've already had. Dave Daughtry, Mark Peterson, great stuff. I hope you're learning every week. I hope you're learning things. I hope you're utilizing this to build your business. I hope you're letting your distributors learn from this, have meetings, teach around it. Because the idea is that people get this information quickly from their platinums, from the corporate, so they can utilize it in their business, go out and make things happen. And guess where we're going tonight? We're going to Orlando, Florida, to our first ever Platinum International Diamond, Mr. Ray Meurer. Ray, how you doing today, bud?
I'm great, Nathan. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Ray, I can tell you this right now. I've got a lot I want to hear from you tonight, but first I got an easy question I want to ask you. I want to kind of lay it out there. You know, one thing that people run into when they get out there, that talking to people. Sometimes talking to people is hard for people. Sometimes it's a little bit out of their comfort zone. They don't know how to start. They don't know where to go. And I'm looking to you as one of the best talkers I've ever been around. Ray, how do you talk to somebody for the first time?
Well, first of all, for the new person who isn't very comfortable talking to people, you have to get comfortable talking to people. That's your whole journey. That's the whole business, is to stay around long enough and to mirror and model your uplines, and you learn. It's a process of learning how to talk to people. A lot of people don't know this, but I was not a people person when I got started. I had to learn what to say. And they used to call me Johnny the Data Dumper, because I would just start spilling out data and it would turn people off. And it didn't really work. I fell on my face a lot. But I got back up and I learned from falling on my face. And here's what I learned. I learned that you're in control in sort of a talking to people, prospecting setting when you're asking questions. That's what I learned. You're in control when you're the one asking the questions. The minute they start asking the questions, you lose control, and that's where you kind of walk away scratching your head a little bit and going, what just happened, right? Which is okay, because that's going to happen for some of us. So you want to kind of practice and write down these questions that you're going to ask. The simplest of which is, do you ever look for ways to make extra money? Do you consider yourself an open-minded person? You know, Nathan, there's an old story about a networker named Meurer, and she would walk in the streets of New York City. And she would walk up to a red light. She's standing next to a tall businessman, and she's this short woman. And she'd turn to him and she'd say, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" And they'd say, "What?" And she'd say, "Do you believe in fate?" And they'd go, "What? Fate? What do you mean?" And she'd go, "Fate. You know, the kind of fate where you meet a young girl on a street corner and it changes your financial life forever." And they go, "What?" And she would exchange business cards. So you can get creative. What we're doing is we're interrupting people's lives and we're saying, this may not work for you. You know, the financial path you're on may not lead to freedom. It may lead to you being broke. So we're kind of professional interrupters. And you interrupt with questions. I tell people, if I go into a retail setting, and I don't do this all the time anymore, but I could go out today and get 20 or 30 leads in 3 to 5 hours. And you say, what? You could really do that, right? Yes, I could positively do that. And the way I do it is I just go into any big department store and I walk up to somebody and say, I noticed the way you're doing your job. You seem to be conscientious into it. I just wanted to compliment you on that. And they say, oh, well, thank you very much. And then I say, let me ask you a question. This retail gig, is this your career, your dream, or is it kind of a stepping stone to something else? Let them talk. I'm asking questions, right? And then as you ask more questions, you just clarify their dream. So you're asking these open-ended questions to look for somebody who has a dream, who wants something in their lives. Really, if they don't want anything in their lives, we can talk to them about the product, but we're really not interested. I remember talking to Juan Rosado and asking him, I said, when you go into somebody's home and you talk to them, somebody brings you in to meet somebody, what are you looking for? And he said, the dream. And I said, okay, but like, what do you do? He said, only the dream. And I said, okay, so what happens if they don't have a dream? He said, I leave. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the entrepreneurial spirit in somebody that's looking for something better. And we challenge them with questions. Are you consider yourself an open-minded person? Do you ever look at opportunities? The worst thing you can do is try to mask and sneak up on people and be clever. You want to be honest and transparent. They already know probably that before you even open your mouth, you're going to talk to them about an opportunity. You're not the first person who ever has. So you don't want to be clever. You just want to be honest. Do you ever look for ways to make extra money? You know, did you ever think to yourself that there's going to be a day in your life when somebody talks to you and one conversation can change your life? I like asking those kind of questions where I call it the fate questions. You know, do you think somebody's life can change with one conversation? What do you mean? That's exactly what you want them to say. What do you mean? And the key thing is the whole sort of prospecting and sponsoring process is just that, a process. Nathan, the mistake that I used to make when I first got started was I just present. I never got any permission. I never did the connection. I never did the approach. I never did the interview, asking them questions. And I also never invited them to an event. I would just talk until it was clear that they had shut me off. So, and you learn this process by not in theory, by studying it on paper. You can study sales scripts, tracks, and really that's an important part of the business. If you're falling down all the time, you should learn some of these tracks. You know, one of the best tracks that we used to use is if you're calling somebody that you know has a history in network marketing, right? You've heard me say it before. I've had a love-hate relationship with networking, right? So when I got called about For Life, I was a negative prospect put up the Dracula cross, right? You wouldn't want to have a worse prospect than me. But so if you're talking to somebody like that, we know you have a background, you call them, they respond to your enthusiasms. You call them up and you say something like this. You say, Nathan, let me ask you, oh man, I'm so excited. Nathan, I just got one question for you. Are you doing something right now in your life where you're so excited, you're so on fire, you're making so many boatloads of money that it would just be a sin for me to even mention anything to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
See, so there's a number of ways to do it, but you learn them in process. The key thing is accept that you're going to make mistakes with this. Accept that probably most people are not going to say yes the first time you talk to them. I didn't. I lost count to the amount of times it took for me to talk. Somebody to talk to me before I said yes. They hung in there with me, right? So accept that you're going to make mistakes and don't analyze after every time you do it. And also, Nathan, very important point, okay? Very important takeaway. Don't experiment with your best prospects. Well, what do you mean don't experiment, right? What I mean is everybody's got, you make a list of prospects, right? And you have, say, I have 30 people on my list, whatever, right? 10, 15 of those maybe are really good prospects. They're people that maybe have been a little bit more successful than you in life or in business. They like you. They'll take your call. They would listen to you for 10 minutes. Don't experiment on them. That's where you be a connector instead of a prospector. That's where you let your sponsor do the talking and you sit back and listen. All you do is, because it's a high trust relationship, all you do is connect your sponsor to that person. How do you do that? You know my style. Sneak up on them. Don't give yourself any room to make a mistake by saying, and be tentative and not know how to answer questions and all that. Just call them up with enthusiasm and say, hey, Bill, sorry to sneak up on you. You got 10 minutes? Good. I wanted to introduce you to my friend Ray Meurer. I don't know if your ears were ringing. We were just talking about you. And he said he had to meet you. Say hi to Ray. And now, because you've taken the shortest distance between 2 points to connect one of your best prospects with your sponsor, somebody who's got the experience, they're not experimenting, they're not nervous, they're not scared, they're not projecting the jitters, right? And they're going to take the best shot with your prospect and have the best chance to get them in the business. So that's what I tell people. Be a connector before you're a prospector. When I do a 3-way call with somebody, Nathan, who's that call for? A lot of people think it's for the prospect to get the prospect in. It's not. It's for my sponsee. It's for my new distributor to re-sponsor them. Because we know that we have to talk to a lot of people. That's just the rules of what we do. We work massive action. We talk to lots of people. The power of what we do is concentrating the effort and talking to people. A whole year's worth of people down into a few months. And talk to them quick. So I would write down these tracks, little things you're going to say. Always have a notebook, or if you do it on your iPhone, and you hear something, you say, we call them pearls, right? Ooh, that's a pearl. I love what Ray just said. And people stop me all the time and go, hang on, could you say that again? because I need to write that down. And you should have a whole book of what we call approaches of how to open up the door. And just be sincere, don't make it about you. And most important of all, don't overanalyze it, right? Just keep talking to people. That's all we do. That's all we do. And I want to tell you something funny. We did this I did a little training thing at the meeting, and people just love this. And I don't know why, but they just absolutely loved it. And it's called the apology approach. Okay. And what it is you write down everybody you've already talked to in the last 3 months, 6 months, however long you've been in the business, right? And you say, oh, I already talked to them. I wouldn't call that. Yeah, you are going to call them back again because you're still in the business and you're still excited. And you call them back and you say, hey, Nathan, listen, I owe you an apology. And you say, what for? And you say, man, I'd rather not do it in person. Okay, I'd rather do it. You meet me at the Starbucks down the street, or you could just say, Nathan, I have to apologize to you. Remember that business I told you about, and I called you up, and I kind of just, kind of muddled through it. And remember that? Say, oh yeah. Say, I really messed up. I didn't do it the service. I was just starting out, and I was terrible. I'm a little better now. Would you do me the honor as my friend? I'm not trying to get you into anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. So just listen to my presentation and evaluate and tell me what you think. Just give me a chance to do a better job, okay, so I don't have to apologize to the next person. Would you do that for me, Nathan?
Absolutely. That would be awesome. That's a great way to do it.
So you're earning the time to talk. That's what most people don't understand is you're not doing the presentation there. You're earning the time. Your approach or what you say to people is about getting them to listen to you with an open mind for 15 or 20 minutes. And that's the key to the whole thing. And the best way to do it is transparency, authenticity, and honesty. Because they will thin slice you. Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite authors, wrote a book called Blink. And basically what it says is, he says, people just know, they can just sense when you're talking to them about opportunity. So you have that awkward moment when somebody's talking, they're going, I wanted to talk to you about this, and they're kind of being tricky, and the prospect's moving a little bit further away. It's better to just go, Nathan, do you still have a dream? Are you into making money? And we know their answers because the answer is going to be like, well, I don't know, why, right? But we don't let our enthusiasm waver. We go, here's why. I need you to take a look at something. 15 minutes, not trying to get you into anything, I want your honest opinion. Would you do that for me? It's direct. You're asking for 15 minutes. A lot of people spend that 15 minutes. Notice I said spend, right? So it's currency you don't have. You spend that 15 minutes without ever asking for the 15 minutes. How? Blah, 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 blah. Over-talking. And what's the over-talking usually about, Nathan?
Nothing important. Apologies.
The product. The product. That's what it's usually about. Like I was, Johnny the data dumper, right? So we live in a society right now, there aren't any economic opportunities. People are very afraid. They know things have changed dramatically. I read an article last week. The guy said he thinks 40% of the colleges in the United States will not be around in 15 years because the ROI, the return on investment, is just not there anymore. People know things have changed permanently. And we don't have to apologize for this business anymore. It doesn't matter that they tried something years ago. It doesn't matter that they're a burnout. Look at any platinum in 4Life. Look at most of the golds. Did they try before? Yes. Did they fall down? Yes. Did they fail? Yes. Did they try again? Yes. Why? Because this is the best opportunity for financial freedom where you don't have to quit your full-time gig, or risk hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's nothing else like this. So go out there and be honest and just talk to people. I tell people, go get 30 no's. And they say, I don't understand what you mean. I say, what I mean is, don't worry about the people that say yeses because you've heard the book Go for No, right? You can measure your success in no's. Just don't worry. Work on what you're saying. Work on breathing. Work on being present with somebody. Work on a penetrating, an honest handshake. Work on being centered in you, because if you're not centered in you, you can't be there for them. And what are you projecting? You're projecting nerves. You're nervous. When you project nervous on them, they get nervous. What do they say when they get nervous? I want to get out of here. Right? And don't be confusing. Too much information when somebody's not in presentation mode, when they haven't said, okay, I'll listen. They're not in presentation mode and you start communicating a lot of information. What does a confused mind say? A confused mind says no, right? So, what do we talk about? We talk about what's important to them. Form, family, occupation, recreation, message. How's your family? You married? Right? Questions, questions, questions. What do you do for a living? How's that working out for you? How long you been doing that? What's that industry like? Questions, 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 questions. Just try it. Don't go into education or information mode and just keep asking questions. Just keep asking questions. And then at the end you say, you know, I think I have something I want to run by you. Would you have 15 minutes to take a look at something for me? Sure. Why? Because you've just asked them questions and shown that you're interested in them. That was the biggest revelation to me. Two things. One is that the approach, or talking to people and connecting, is not the presentation, because I thought everything was a presentation. And two, that a confused mind says no. So talking too much isn't any good. So go ahead. You had some other questions. I'm sorry. I'm kind of...
No, this has been spectacular. Thank you so much. I do have one more question for you, though, Ray. And it comes back to a comment you made earlier and that you made with us a couple weeks ago on a trip we were on. All-out massive action.
Yeah.
Start thinking about that. To Ray Meurer, I'm here to tell you, everyone, that is not just talk. As a guy that was on the phones early in For Life, when you'd hang up the phone and it seemed like 2 seconds later the phone rang again and was Ray Meurer signing up another distributor, then you hang up and it seems like 5 seconds later you answer again and it's Ray Meurer signing up another distributor. He knows about all-out massive action. But Ray, I want you to help me explain to everyone out there how they do all-out massive action, how they can grow their business through all-out massive action.
Well, when we say massive action, we say what action are we measuring, right? What is the activity we're measuring? And the activity we're measuring is talking to people. I mean, that's what we mean by all-out massive action, talking to a lot of people, running it by a lot of people. I tell people, I say, what if you're Gold International? The Gold International that's going to be in your group. What if it's right now on the list, if it's number 87? Okay? In other words, if the 87th person from today you talk to is going to be a Gold International, right? But you go to 30 and you stop and you take a month off and you're thinking about things and you're discouraged, and then you go to 50. So 2.5 years later, you haven't hit 87, right? Why not do the whole 87 in like 3 weeks, right? Then you'll have a Gold International. You have your belief leg. Make your belief leg happen. All-out massive action, what it does is it punctures a hole in the universe. Okay, your dream, your next position, your big check is not behind some brick wall that you need superhuman effort to break through, where you just can't get through it. It's behind a paper-thin wall that you just can't see through it. All you've got to do is keep going. Most people stop right before the paper-thin wall. And that's a rule in anything that has to do with sales or marketing or promoting anything. The one more call rule, the talk to one more person rule. That's the famous story in the Og Mandino, greatest salesman in the world, with the 12 scrolls, right? Is I will make one when I'm done, when it's the end of the day, when I have no energy left, when I'm at my last level of discouragement, I will make one more call. And for some reason, that call has sort of a spiritual, supernatural nature to it, because you made one more call. And that's what our business is about. What if Firmino happened to not be in the mood that day when he brought the dog? What if Firmino was working and happened not to talk to Juan that day? What would have happened, right? You know, what would have happened if I would have said, you know what, that sounds a little bit like everything else. Every one of the tenuous relationships in our business that have led to one of the most successful network marketing companies, For Life Research, in the history of this business, is built on that just one more call, one connection. And you are that lightning rod, but you have to open your mouth. And that's, you have to realize the magical nature of the business, that your life can change today. Today you can sponsor a Ray Meurer. Any Gold International. Today you can go out and open your mouth and say, you got to take a look at this company. It's gone all around the world, 57 countries, brand new biotechnology. It's hot. It's ready to take off in the U.S. I don't know if you look at opportunities in your life, but if you were ever going to look at just one more, take a look at this. What do you say, Nathan?
Wow, I say it's spectacular, Ray. Thank you so much. I hope you distributors out there are listening to what Ray said. You just got invaluable advice. Got to learn how to talk to people. But you got to challenge yourself. You cannot be successful if you do not challenge yourself. Go for all-out massive action today. So make sure you do that. Do it today. Make that commitment today that you will start your all-out massive action. Thank you so much, Ray, for being on this one. I look forward to having you on again in the future.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week on 4Life Live.